Historically, the Persian Empire once ruled the world, a vast expanse of power stretching from the Aegean Sea to the Indus River, where 60 nations bowed beneath a single banner. But empires eventually crumble, dynasties rise and fall. Yet that land, Iran, through thousands of years of conquest, reshaping and renaming, has never ceased to be the epicenter of a power far greater than itself. Today, the entire weight of that historical tide converges upon a strait only 21 miles wide. It is almost inconceivable that a mere 21 miles of water carries nearly 20% of the global oil supply. More than just a geographical boundary, this is a fatal intersection where human ambitions for power and the violent tremors of the earth collide under immense pressure. In a space where every movement is scrutinized by the world's master strategists, even the slightest fracture in its operation could trigger a catastrophe, turning the prosperity of nations into ash in a single moment of disruption. They call it the jugular vein of humanity. This is the Strait of Hormuz. Positioned 5 miles off the coast of Bandar Abbas, right at the threshold of the strait, Hormuz Island commands a geography that makes it simultaneously one of the most strategically watched and geologically surreal places on Earth. The island is a salt diapir, a 600-million-year-old mass of compressed salt and mineral-rich volcanic rock pressing upward. It folds iron oxide, hematite, and volcanic compounds into more than 70 distinct mineral shades. Deep crimson cliffs, silver-black beaches. This landscape does not look unreal because it is untouched. It looks unreal because the forces that built it are still active. For the 3,000 residents here, the geology is not a spectacle, but daily material. Women grind the red ochre soil, locally called gelak, into a spice that colors stews and flavors bread, turning mineral survival directly into culinary identity. It was here in 1507 that the Portuguese built a fortress from that same red stone to control this vital artery. Today, its walls are dissolving back into the landscape they were quarried from, as if the island has always been in the process of reclaiming what empires attempted to fix in place. Every day, Hormuz quietly watches 20 million barrels of oil move past its shores, a volume of extracted wealth so immense that it defines the geopolitical architecture of the entire modern Middle East. Stretching 96 miles along the northern edge, Kesh is the largest island in Iran. It sits at the exact collision boundary of the Arabian and Eurasian tectonic plates. A 25-million-year compression has produced a landscape of extremes, from the Namakdan Salt Cave, the longest on Earth, older than most terrestrial life itself, to dense mangrove forests, shielding nesting flamingos from the open Gulf. Kesh was shaped by two distinct forces, geological and imperial. Its position made it a target for every power that understood what the strait controlled. Yet the island's boat builders still practice lenge construction, assembling ocean-going wooden vessels entirely from memory, a skill transmitted across generations of seafarers who once connected this coast to India, East Africa, and China. But if Keshm is the logistical base, Larak, the smallest island sitting just 3 miles from the international shipping lane, is nature's grand observation tower. On still nights from late summer, Larak's shallow waters produce a disorienting natural phenomenon, bioluminescence. Waves of cold, blue-green light generate their own illumination without any input from the grid or the moon. Since the 16th century, navigational charts identified Larak as a critical waypoint. Today, its proximity to sensitive strategic infrastructure limits commercial development, preserving its ecosystems by sheer strategic restriction. Places like Larak remind us that invisibility is sometimes the condition that best preserves what visibility destroys. Pivoting deeper into the Gulf, we find the true price of global control. Kish Island operates like a natural greenhouse, trapping brutal summer heat. Yet beneath the surface, running 52 feet underground, lies a 2,500-year-old canal system. Ancient engineers understood an elegant principle: filtering rainwater through successive layers of fossil coral to purify it, sustaining a civilization by mineral contact alone. Today, right above that ancient marvel of survival, sits a free trade zone hosting 12 million visitors annually, alongside a rusting Greek cargo ship grounded in 1966, looking like the remains of an empire being swallowed by the reef. And then there is Lavon, an island that was once the epicenter of the Gulf's legendary pearl diving. Its divers were known for their godlike lung capacity and their ability to read the seabed without instruments. But that economy definitively collapsed in the 1930s. What replaced it was not a transition, but a brutal substitution. The same geographic position, the same deep water access, was transferred wholesale to the logic of offshore oil extraction. On Lavon today, wild Chinkara gazelles move freely along coral beaches directly beside the massive holding tanks and pipelines of Iran's offshore oil refineries, a visual juxtaposition so extreme that it renders the boundary between the natural and the industrial functionally meaningless. Nature in this region has its own methods of defense and its own warnings. Shidvar, colloquially known as Snake Island, boasts pristine, resort-like beaches with zero human presence. Why? A dense population of Persian horned vipers forms a biological security system, inadvertently preserving one of the most critical nesting grounds for the critically endangered hawksbill sea turtle. Here, the most effective form of conservation is the one that requires no human intervention. Further northwest, Lake Urmia, once the second largest hypersaline lake on Earth, is dying. Having lost 90% of its water to human infrastructure, the increased salinity triggers a microalgae bloom that turns the remaining water blood red. A biological warning signal encoded directly in color, visible from low Earth orbit. The Persian Gulf and the Strait of Hormuz are often reduced by the world to a single image, a contested choke point, a region defined by what passes through it, rather than what lives within it. Yet the reality that persists beneath that reduction is far older and far more profound. A civilization assembled across millennia on salt domes and fossil coral, on wooden ships built from memory, and underground rivers filtered through stone. All of it animated by communities who understood, long before the rest of the world arrived to observe them, that survival in an extreme environment is not a crisis to be managed, but a condition to be inhabited. To control the world, one must control the jugular of Hormuz. But to survive Hormuz, one must learn to bow to the laws of the earth. And this is not where the story ends. It is where it was always going to begin.